What's going on, guys? So it's time for another honest thoughts video, and this time we're going to talk about Vault, everything from the early access, my experience over the last 2 weeks, the general population's experience, and what to expect. Here we go. All right, so as always, I want to preface the video by saying thank you so much for everybody that's been showing so much support to the community. We've got literally over 1,000 members in our Discord channel right now. We're getting non-stop people stopping by the Twitch showing some love, so thank you so much for everybody that's been showing love. But let's get right to the video. So my honest thoughts on Vault. There's several different things that I want to talk about, and I'll try to do my best to keep it brief here, but there's a lot of things that have happened over the last 2 weeks, and let's go ahead and start off with early access. Now, the reason why I want to mention the phrase early access first is because I'm noticing a pattern between a lot of individuals that have played the game, and I'm noticing a pattern also from Vault themselves, from Strange Matter Studios. Here's my thing behind it. Early access for me means that it's a game that is still in development. You get to play it by paying like a founder's pack or something like that usually, right? And you help with the development of the project. That's it. Early access does not mean that the game has to reach a specific state. Like I'm hearing a lot of people say like, oh, like early access should have been more polished. Early access should have had more content, etc. And I'm like, yo, like I've played early access. Like I'll give an example. I was early access for Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown is by far an amazing game, but early access for Hunt, you couldn't get past more than 50 frames per second, even on all the lowest settings. Early access for Hunt Showdown, it was limited guns. Like you literally just had like 7 guns and that was it. And there was literally only one boss, one map. Like the game is nothing now like it was during early access. Like the game has gone 30 million steps in the future. But I'm seeing a lot of individuals in the community, with respect to their opinion, but I'm seeing a lot of individuals in the community that are saying things like, they should have had this, they should have had that, I'm getting bug crashes, this and that, I wasted my money by purchasing this, I should have waited. Now, I want to preface that not just with Strange Matters, it could be with Ometa, it could be with any other company ever, early access wise. The reason why I buy into early access is because I am supporting the company and I want the game to progress. It's as simple as that. Is the game going to be rough? I expect it to be because it's early access. It's not the finished product, right? So I want to start off the video by saying that because the mindset of a lot of players are finished product, the game isn't that good, I'm not touching it again, or I'm asking for my refund, which is honestly just the worst mentality to have, quite frankly. Now, let's get deeper into it. Let's go ahead and move on forward here to my first official point now. Should the alpha have been delayed? I'm sorry, not the alpha. Should the early access have been delayed another month? Because here's the thing. On release, there were hiccups. Some of them, Strange Matter couldn't do anything about. There was nothing the Vault team could have done about it. Like, for example, Cloudflare crashing and stuff like that. Some of them they could have done by just testing and optimizing a little bit more. For example, the FPS crashes. For example, some of the bugs that we came across, like Huang permanently removing armor from people. That's a bug that would have been tested and would have been more than likely noticed within a week or two of just proper testing. So it really comes down to the fact that my personal opinion is I do think that they jumped the gun. I'll explain why. Because the fault that I tested before this early access release is not the fault that was there during the early access release. There were a lot of things that were changed along with the feel of the game, the movement speed of the game, the currency, the gold gain. There was a lot that was changed from the last time that I tested it, which was like back in March, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't get a chance to test it all the way from like March. I think like my last one was actually late March, early April. I don't remember exactly. But from there to early July, or to mid-July, when we actually got a chance to play it as early access, a lot had been changed. And you know, if they want to progress, if they want to add things and change them, that's perfectly fine. But I know for a fact that most of us testers were not able to test really until like a week and a half before early access launch, which is cutting it really, really close. Like that's along with some of the mistakes that some other you know, developers end up making of, you know, trying to rush the deadline, and they might have not checked every nook and cranny to make sure that everything was as smooth as possible in the game's current state. So now we're entering August, and their new patch, which we'll talk about a little bit here in a second, is set to come out soon. And I just can't help but think, because that new patch fixes a lot of the FPS problems. They said the new UI is going to come with the new patch and everything. More bugs are addressed and whatnot. So I just can't help to think, would it have been better to do early access in the month of August and have everything from that patch that they're making already included, to have a better perception in the eyes of the gaming community? You get me there? So moving forward, let's talk about my second point. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the matchmaking. Now, the matchmaking is still a work in progress. They honestly, I'm torn on it. I'm torn on the matchmaking because it does kind of help. You get me? Like you do have occasions where, like, once the matchmaking kicked in, you can tell the matches were a little bit more balanced. You get me? But I personally do feel like right now, in the current state that the matchmaking is in, there is no limit as to who can join who. Like in a lot of and this is more feedback for Strange Meta, like in a lot of MOBAs or any competitive aspect really, there is a range of maximum elo that you can travel and still party up with somebody, right? Like for example, if you're platinum, you're more than likely going to be right around the gold, platinum, diamond area, depending on whether you're top of platinum or lower platinum. You get me? On the lower end. So there's a little bit of travel room of the type of players that you can be paired up with, but it's not that much. Right now in their current system, there's nothing stopping, let's say, a platinum player to join with a silver player, right? And now you have a duo queue that's joining in, and their whole system is trying to find a balance of the two. So I'll give you guys an example. We had a match where it was a gold and 4 silvers versus 2 platinums, a gold and 2 silvers. So needless to say, the platinum players kind of like destroyed some of the silver players that were playing. But sorry, there was a bug there. But it basically comes down to the fact that if there's that much of a gap, I personally don't think that they should be able to queue up together. Which comes to the double-edged sword and my main point of focus bringing up matchmaking. Should skill-based skill-based MMR be in the game right now? I don't think so, because one, they're alienating the people that are either doing very well or very poorly. Once you get to a certain elo and below, your matchmaking times are ridiculous. Once you get past a certain elo and above, matchmaking times are ridiculous. Like silver and gold are where the average population is. If you go platinum and up, you suffer, and if you go bronze and down, you suffer. So I personally don't think that matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking should be a thing right now, because the community is still growing, because all these balance changes are happening and stuff like that. Now, I do think it's needed to have skill-based matchmaking, but not at the current stage. And I'll bring up the example that I mentioned earlier, like with Hunt Showdown. They have skill-based matchmaking now, but during the entire length of early access, the entire year and a half that I played it, there was no skill-based matchmaking. There was an equal chance of you going up against somebody that honestly sucked at the game, as opposed to somebody that would just destroy you. But that was kind of part of the fun. It's random. You don't know who you're going to be paired up against, and it's early access. Hunt Early Access had basically the same numbers as Fall. right now. They have about 1,000 concurrent players, which isn't that much. It's enough to just get some games going, but longer games do put a strain on the smaller community that's playing right now. So when you got matches to 40 to an hour lasting, it's gonna put a strain on the community. The only way a match can end faster is if they surrender, which honestly a shit ton of people surrender way too quick in this game. But that might be more because of the way that the currency is made and the fact that minions don't give you shit for gold right now, but kills give you more. So it's very snowbally as to that aspect, and the fact that you gain so much levels off of kills and whatnot. But that's for another conversation. In its own, I definitely think that matchmaking should not be implemented for early access, and I think that like the skill-based matchmaking should be implemented closer towards the finished project, like maybe like 6 months from now or 4 months from now or something like that. Like once a more established community is developed, once the community grows, then put skill-based matchmaking, because I personally do believe it's going to isolate too much of the community, the new players and the bad players, which is going to bring me to my next point: lack of tutorials. Now within Fault itself, let's start with the item system. The item system is a very good system, very expansive, a lot of actives. Once you get into it, you can appreciate what it is. But unless you sit there and study for like probably 10 minutes of your 45-minute match while you're on the go, or unless you sit there and go to their website and start studying things and theory crafting, it's honestly very difficult for the system to understand. That's why you see content creators such as myself creating all these YouTube guides to try and explain it a little bit, but even then we can only do so much within a certain time frame. So I definitely think I like the item system that they have, but I definitely do believe that they should have had base tutorials at least in place, even if it's just a YouTube video to show people on the main screen, in place, as far as what are aspects, what is favor, how do you earn favor, how do you apply favor, because those are simple in-game mechanics that you need to know in order to play. And I can tell you there's been a ton of people that have been watching my YouTube videos and they've been loving the content, loving the explanations, and they thank me for it. But the way I see it, for every 1,000 people that have seen my YouTube video, there's another 1,000 or more that have not. And I see plenty of people that I play with that don't invest their favor because they have no idea what it is. They have no idea what the characters are. Because in their website, which is very well made by the way, you can go in there, select the role of carry, select the role of solo, it'll tell you these are the recommended characters. But you know how many players don't go to the website? Like they're literally in game and they're like, I guess I'm gonna be this guy. And that's gonna happen with new players, but you know how many like Gideons like how many mages I've seen building basic attack damage because they don't know the difference, or how many basic attack heroes are building magic damage because they don't know the difference, and they're just like, yo, I think this will be cool, and they don't fully understand some of the things. Like I definitely think that at least the basic aspects should have been explained, and I definitely think that the individual heroes and what roles they fit into should be something that's more included into the game itself, so the viewer and the gamer doesn't have to leave the actual application just to learn. Now I know all this is coming, but again, that goes back to the original point: should it have been there for the beginning of early access when it becomes available to the masses? I'll let you guys decide on that. Now, I've had a lot of people bring up the lack of art in the UI, the fact that all the items look the same. Now that's another double-edged sword, because I do see both sides. I do understand that having all the items be a specific color helps people understand that this is what goes with that aspect. If you're building red, you build the red items. Now that would be a lot more effective if they actually had that tutorial explaining the aspects and how there's infinitely scaling items and stuff like that. Now if it weren't for tutorials like mine or like Predecessor or some other people out there, it would honestly be very, very difficult for people to understand. People come into the item system and they only see all the items are the same logo. They don't notice the fact that you're trying to hint to them, hey, these all belong in the green tree, these all belong in the red tree. They don't see that. They just see the lack of art and the lack of guidance, because since the first step wasn't explained, they don't understand what you're trying, what Strange Matter tried to do here by putting them all the same color. So they just see lack of effort. If that first step would have been explained properly, they would have understood the second part, and they would have been like, you know what, I can tell why they did it, so we can understand what to build. But since that first step was never explained by Strange Matters, the community just looks at it as no art. The item system it's easy to get lost in. You have to look by names, and even then, if you don't know the system, you have to click on it, read, figure out what it does, decide whether I want to do that, and you're wasting valuable time in the game. And that's how the average person is actually approaching it, because again, the average person is not using the website, the theory craft, or stuff like that. Now, moving forward here, the patch speeds is the last thing that I want to talk about here. The fact that I'm grateful that Strange Matters did relieve a quick, like a hot fix, so to speak, is what they're called, right? A quick fix that they implemented in order to help fix FPS a little bit, help like the game breaking bug with Quang stripping your armor, as I was mentioning earlier. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that they've been very open, stating things like there is an update coming that's going to address all our FPS issues. The new UI is going to be included. I love the fact that they're letting people know what they're working on. And actually, I'm going to pull it up right here on my side. They sent this message to the community 3 days ago. So they're letting the community know, hey, we're working on this for you. I appreciate the attempt, the intentions overall. Now, what can we expect as a community from Strange Matter? Now, I know for a fact Strange Matter is 100% community driven. I know for a fact they hate having a bug in the game, and they fix those as quick as they can. Now, I know for a fact they're also going to prioritize whether it's a game breaking fix that needs to be fixed right now, which they will release hot fixes ASAP, usually within 2 days is what I see. And then the longer patches like the new UI, the art system, and stuff like that, that's going to take a little bit longer. Now, with the way that they're doing everything right now, with the way they have their scheduled release for the heroes and everything, I can easily see them doing maybe like monthly solid patches. I could definitely see them doing that, and then just hot fixes in between. I would say that's what we should expect from the time being. Hell, maybe if they go like major patches once every 2 months right before the hero release, I could see that. You get me? So we definitely got to be a little bit understanding considering the size of the team, but for the amount of work that's been put out, considering the size of the team, they have my respect. And I honestly think that we're all going to see this game progress slowly. Now, the final thing to bring up, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below, is do you guys think that the future of Fault by Strange Matter Studios is more solidified now than it was before the alpha? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because honestly, it's one of those things that I personally do think, should the alpha have been delayed another month, people might have got a better opinion. Has people's opinions changed in the span of these past 2 weeks? And has their reputation been tarnished? Can they get it back? These are all valid questions. These are all things that people ask me on a daily basis. So I wanted to give you guys my honest thoughts real quick on the current state of Fault, and rest assured that I'll keep on doing updates and stuff like that, guiding you guys through it, and continue making tutorials and everything for you guys to use, because I do understand that the lack of tutorials is a real thing, and I'm here to provide as much as I can. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Again, thank you so much for all the love. For those of you that don't know, again, my Discord link is going to be down below in the description. In my Discord link, you're going to get builds, videos, everything, one-stop shop for the game in order to help you make the game a little bit easier for you. And as well, we have voice channels in there for the community to use, and we always are playing games. But again, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.